Girl dinner, girl dinner, girl dinner, oh, girl dinner.
Hi friends, welcome to BOOKMAS Day 4. Today I'm going to talk to you about a book I would recommend you based on a movie or a TV show that you like. I tried very hard to come up with these. I have this whole setup right now to show you the books that I have physical copies of, so I need to not hit the desk like I always do. My desk is very wobbly. Okay, today's drink, Celsius Fantasy Vibe. This is the Mandarin Marshmallow. Cheers, McGee's. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is if you liked watching Knives Out, then I think you would like The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. That's why I bought this book, because somebody said it was like Knives Out, and it's kind of a lazy choice for me, to be honest, because it's the exact same plot, basically. The beginning plot of rich person leaving their inheritance to somebody, except for this person is a stranger to the family, not like somebody close to the family, like the Knives Out girl was. Martha? I don't know. But it's very, very good. It's part of a 3-book series. I still think the first one is the best book, and I think this is a very, very good choice if you like the kind of Knives Out plots. The next one I don't have a physical copy of, and I probably never will. I think I talked about this in my wrap-up, but if you liked watching Gossip Girl, I think you would like Magnolia Parks. I still don't know how I feel about Magnolia Parks. I can't think about it too much. I get really upset. That book upset me so much, I don't know if I can read any more of those books. She has a new book coming out called Never that I'll probably read, but of that series, I just don't know that I can do it ever again. But I also didn't finish Gossip Girl. So if you like Gossip Girl, I think you like Magnolia Parks, that like upper class drama type of situation. If you like the rom-com Notting Hill with Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts, I think you would like It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. The reason being that the trope of famous girl, hometown boy is the same. This happens where he's a fisherman and she's coming like almost as a punishment, like getting cut off. I think that they're fairly similar, and this is such a good, quick, smexy read. This couple is so good. This is my first ever Tessa Bailey book, actually. And although the guy's a lot grumpier than Hugh Grant is, it's a very good read and very rom-com-y. Commie? Like a communist. I did a lot of rom-com comparisons, didn't I? Did I? Okay, if you like The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock, you should read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in her Dreamland Billionaire series, and it's about a boss who, through a series of events, ends up engaged to his assistant. So basically a gender swap version of The Proposal. It is very, very, very good. You don't really need to read the first book of that series. It's just a completely separate couple, so. Okay, if you liked Before We Go with Chris Evans and the girl whose name I don't remember, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. I watch it like anytime I'm sad. I think it's a beautiful film. I think you would like The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. I like this book a lot more now looking back than I did while reading it. And I think it's similar with Before We Go because, spoiler, they're two people that like can't be together, but they like show each other that everyone can have more than just one love in their lifetime. Like if one love doesn't work out, you're not destined to be alone forever. And this has like a similar trajectory of meaning, and looking back on it, now that I know all the information, it's a very, very beautiful book. This is also a bit of a lazy reach for me, but if you liked The Breakfast Club, another one of my favorite films, you'd probably like one... Sorry, I just realized that I actually did take off and throw away the dust jackets of this whole series. One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus. This is about a group of high schoolers that go into detention, and one of them dies in detention, and they're all suspects. So it's a murdery version of Breakfast Club, but it's got very similar tropes. Like as I was reading it, I was like, oh, so we've got like the pretty girl, we've got the nerd, we've got the bad boy. It's a very similar dynamic, but obviously lasts longer than One Detention. So I think this would be a good read. I really am just talking about my favorite movies. Okay, Dead Poets Society with Robin Williams, one of the best films ever known to mankind. If you liked that, I think you would like The Secret History. It's the dark academia vibes of it all. This isn't nearly as uplifting in its meaning as Dead Poets Society, but basically when I read about this story, I basically picture it in the same like filter buildings as Dead Poets Society. This one's a bit of a commitment. It's one of those where it is so good, but I didn't eat it up. Like, the writing took me a while to get through, but it's a very, very beautiful book. Pretty cover too. And back cover. Okay, if you like the show Broadchurch with David Tennant and, oh my gosh, what is her name? I love her. Anyways, if you liked that show, which is so good, and you should watch it if you haven't, I think you would like 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. This book is magnificent. This is a 6-star book for me. It's pretty short. It's just a quick little thriller read. 9 strangers get a list in the mail of 9 names, and the book starts with the murder of one of those people, and detectives like trying to figure out the connection, and they're kind of dropping one by one. It is so, so good. So I feel like it's linked to Broadchurch for me. Is just kind of like, part of it is very like coastal vibe like Broadchurch is. The mystery, the detectives, the convolutedness of it. I think you would really like this. Okay, this is a stretch because these plots have nothing in common. This is purely vibes. But if you like Singing in the Rain, I think you would like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I love Singing in the Rain. I love the characters, I love the music, I love the story, and I love the environment and the aesthetic of it, which is old Hollywood. And that's exactly what this is. This is about a reclusive Hollywood icon, Evelyn Hugo, hires somebody who is going to write a biography about her, and she basically tells all. It's like first person, her like talking to the author, and it is so good. It is so, 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 so good. Well written, and if you like old Hollywood, this is the perfect read. Okay, if you liked Gone Girl, and I know Gone Girl's a book. Oh my goodness, that is the cutest puppy. I know Gone Girl's a book. I have read the book. I have not seen the movie. So maybe my opinion is wrong. But I feel like if you liked Gone Girl, the movie, or the book, you would like Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. There's some mixed reviews on this that I saw, but it's about a local woman who goes missing. And like 2 cases that are years apart. It is so, 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 so good. The plot twist in this had me dropping the book. That's why it's similar to Gone Girl for me, because few books have made me jaw drop the way that Gone Girl did. And this was, oh my gosh, I ate this book up. I think I read this in a day. And if you like Gone Girl, the kind of twists, like the almost female-centric story of it, I think you'll like this. Nathan's texting me that he loves me. Okay, I have not finished Lost, the TV show. I'm on season 5. So I could be completely off about this still. But, and this is totally vibes, literally nothing about the plot. But the vibe of this mystery going on, and you're like, is this possible? Is this paranormal? Like, what are we getting ourselves into? Is very similar to The Cartographers by, why can't I remember these names? By Pank Shepard. This book is another one that I look back on and really like, because I just wasn't expecting it to go the way that it did. But it's about this girl who is a cartographer, and her dad ruined her career because she like brought up an old map of a gas station that he had, and he got super mad, and then he dies, and he was murdered. So she's investigating it. It comes back to the map. It is very, very good, and very, like, I don't want to say off-putting, but like the twists and turns that it takes are so surprising. I do think you have to push through the first like third of it to get to the really juicy stuff, but it's worth it. If you like Gilmore Girls, this is a stretch as well, I feel like, but I feel like they give the same vibes. If you like Gilmore Girls, I think you'll like Things We Never Got Over. I feel that Knox and Luke have a lot in common. Luke probably has never peed outside on like when there were other options, but the grumpy like local eating joint, and a girl with a daughter. And this one, it is her niece that she didn't know she had, and she basically has to take care of her. So those similar like mother-daughter type of vibes. The grumpy guy who's also always taking care of the younger girl. I feel like that dynamic is very similar, except that the Rory is 10, so she's not as annoying. Okay, if you liked the movie Princess Bride, which if you've seen it, you can't not. Also, that is a book as well. I know, I've read that book too. It's very, very good. But I feel like nobody that I've talked to about this knew it was a book anyway. So anyway, if you like the book Princess Bride, you kind of like the funny, lighthearted fantasy fairy tale with like a little bit of like a good plot and romance, I think you would like Assistant to the Villain. This is a 5-star book. This is one of my very, very favorites right now. It's about quite literally a girl who needs a job and a villain hires her as the assistant. And there's like a spy at the castle that they live at. And it's just, it is perfect. The banter is amazing. And there's no real plot similarities except for just the vibe of like a goofy fairy tale with some romance in it. Oh, okay. I don't have copies of this either, but if you liked the TV show Psych, I think you should try reading the Riley Thorne series by Lucy Score. It's a trilogy right now, and I haven't read the third one. I've read the first two, but it's a very like goofy crime solving situation. There's also a lot of romance in it because it is Lucy Score, but like two people solving crime together, a lot of just like hilarious links and shenanigans, but also like a very well written crime. And I think you would like that. If you liked Pretty Little Liars, I think you would like The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This is about girls about the same age as the Liars in season 1. And they're at a camp and they're kind of the cool girls. And then one morning, the entire cabin is empty except for one girl who's the main character. And nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows it. It's just like they disappeared into thin air. Years later, she goes back to be a counselor and she starts uncovering secrets about what happened. And also, they're reinvestigating the case now and they're like looking at her, obviously, because she's like the final girl of the situation. It's so, so good. And I feel like it's a very succinct Pretty Little Liars situation. Okay, I've never watched a single episode of Real Housewives, but I feel like if you like that kind of show, like the kind of upper class celebrities, but not really celebrities and all of their drama, I think you would like Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about a group of siblings from a famous family, and it all takes place in like a day. Basically, there's a group of siblings who have famous parents, and now they're just kind of socialites. And the oldest, I think she's oldest, Nina, has a party every year, and at this party, you find out like immediately at midnight, everything's gone to shit. And then you go back and you get their perspectives, all kind of leading up to the same plot. I love when the story's like that. If you liked Outer Banks, I think you would like We Were Liars. Again, this is not really because of the plot, it's because of the vibe. Like a group of teenagers, I feel like around the same age as the Outer Banks people are supposed to be, even though they all look like they're 25. But the main girl, it's all from her POV, and her, I think they're all cousins except for one is a cousin's best friend, and him and her kind of had a thing, and then he dropped off the radar. And so she's going and she sees everyone again, and she's trying to like figure out like why they haven't been like writing her back, like returning her calls, writing her letters back. And she thinks it's because she had this like accident last summer that left her with migraines. And so she goes back, so they all go to the family vacation. She's trying to figure out like, where are we at? And it is so good. Okay, so we did Knives Out. So we're gonna do Glass Onion now. I think if you liked Glass Onion, you would like The Guest List by Lucy Foley, because it's very similar like dynamic of like, there is one event that happens and it doesn't make any sense. and then we go back and learn other people's POVs and what happened and start to piece it together. I loved that about Glass Onion. And also it's all like in one event. Like Glass Onion was all like basically one day at the Glass Onion, and this is at one wedding. It is very, very good. It's a very convoluted plot, but everything makes sense. Okay, I've never watched Game of Thrones because I can't handle that kind of gore, but I asked Nathan, might put proof right here. I asked Nathan if my instincts were correct, and he said probably. I think if you like Game of Thrones, you'll like Mistborn. From my understanding, Mistborn's a lot more magical. Mistborn's also a trilogy. I also didn't read the whole trilogy, so should I be speaking about this? Probably not. But Nathan read the whole trilogy and he watched Game of Thrones, and he told me everything that happened in all of those. So I feel like if you like the politics and the dynamic of that and like a bunch of very strong characters, I think you would very much like this book. Okay, another TV show I haven't, actually I think these last two are ones that I genuinely haven't watched. Okay, Dexter. If you like Dexter, I feel that you would like The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart. She is the co-host of the Morbid podcast, which is a great podcast if you're not listening to that. This is about a forensic pathologist who has never not solved a crime, and then she gets a really difficult case. It takes place in New Orleans. And the reason I say it's like Dexter is just because you get insight into like the criminal and the detective, but she's a pathologist, and I feel like that's a similar dynamic to Dexter. Spoiler alert, it's not a Dexter situation where he's like a serial killer and a detective, but I still feel like the vibes are the same, and I don't know why. Finally, our last comparison or recommendation is also for a TV show I've never seen in my life, Yellowstone. From what I've seen in commercials and what I've heard from other people, I feel like if you like Yellowstone, you'll like Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. And that may come as a surprise because I feel this is not an average Christina Lauren book. This is much more like national park adventure, treasure search, mystery than it is romance. Like there is an underlying romance plot, but it's not the point of the book. I remember reading this and being like, I kept checking the front like, is this by Christina Lauren? Because this is not a romance book. But it is very, very good. And I feel like if you like the Yellowstone kind of like outdoorsy, I don't know what Yellowstone's about, but I just feel in my heart that you'd also like this book if you watched that. It's stuck in my head. So those are all the books that I think you would like based on your favorite TV shows or movies. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.